to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. I have a returning guest, Claire Staszak. Let me just start by saying, if you have had the good fortune to meet Claire in real life, then you know what a sweetheart this lady is. She is the kind of person that instantly you can feel her genuine kindness. And to that end, ever since I interviewed her the very first time, episode number 166, I've had a major soft spot for Claire. We connected recently and she was telling me about this new endeavor of hers, and I thought it would be really super nice to share it with you. Claire Staszak is the principal of Centered by Design, a Chicago-based firm known for their holistic design process, which combines Claire's well-trained eye for interiors with her passion for wellness. Her work has been featured by the Chicago Tribune, Modern Luxury, HGTV, Domino, Architectural Digest, Online, and more. We talk about how we met in 2017 at the Design Influencers Conference and how her company's namesake blog was honored with an award for Best Design Writing. She has studied interior design at the School of Art Institute in Chicago, and she holds a certificate of kitchen and bath design from Harper College. Claire is also a certified yoga instructor with more than 500 hours of training. Before I introduce you to Claire, I want to ask, have you tried Article.com yet? If you have a copy of my second book, A Well-Designed Business, The Power Talk Friday Experts Volume 1, then you've already seen their beautiful Sven share in hashtag podcast green. Well, I think they might actually call it grass green. But no matter, whatever green you call it, it's fabulous. Go to welldesigned.article.com today and open your trade account so you can have your very own Sven share and tell them you want to call it hashtag podcast green. Maybe we can start a movement. Alrighty, let me introduce you to Claire Staszak. Hi, Claire. Thanks so much for coming back to A Well-Designed Business.
Hi, LuAnn. Thank you for having me.
Claire, I am so excited about the way you have grown your business, and I'm going to say, and / speaking career since I met you back in 2017 at it was the Design Bloggers Conference, and now it's called the Design Influencers Conference. You've really are really becoming and have become a voice in the industry. So congratulations.
Thank you so much, LuAnn. That's really wonderful to hear, and I'm thrilled that I will be speaking at a conference that you will be headlining, so that's quite an honor as well.
I know. We're going to be in Chicago together again, and we're going to be both speaking at the Powerhouse Luxury Conference, and we may as well just give a shameless plug as long as you brought it up. So
totally.
This is a conference that's run by Wendy Cohen, and she was on the show recently. I'll put her episode in the show notes. But this conference is, first of all, how to find out about it is the website is phs20.com. Okay. PowerhouseSmart20.com. And I'm excited for this conference because it's different than the typical design conferences that we are accustomed to going to. Have you been to it before, Claire?
Yeah, I have, and I will, give Wendy a shameless plug as well, because Networking in Chicago is great. There's so many wonderful designers, builders, architects, etc. But this group was actually introduced to me through one of my cabinet vendors. And what I love about this group and has been so helpful is it's not just interior designers. It's vendors, it's architects, it's real estate. It's a much kind of larger group that goes into the whole home building, selling process. And I find that it's just some of the best networking. And I did go to the conference last year and I loved it. And then when it came up that, they were looking for speakers and you could apply, and I think it's voted on by peers or a board, what topics they want to talk about. So yeah, I really enjoyed it last year.
Yes, that's what first of all, look, all day long, I love to spend the whole day with our people, with interior designers, right?
Sure.
I mean, there's nothing more fun than that. However, I do think that this conference is a rare opportunity for interior designers to spend time with those other fields. As you said, the real estate market, the builders, the contractors, the property developers. It's, I just, to me, that's like, whoa, it's one thing to come. The purpose of one type of conference when we're all together with our same group of people is to learn from each other and to have topics that are specific to us. But this type of conference is a different way of expanding your business in your mind. Maybe you meet a builder or a contractor that you could possibly work with, or even if you're coming from another part of the country and you network at this conference and you meet a builder or a contractor or a developer, you might just learn the way that you go back and approach that type of business entity in your own area, right?
Yes, totally. And I love it's just a little bit different. Like I remember being surprised by the speaker last year who, I'm sorry, I don't remember his name, but it was like there was sort of a holistic aspect to it in terms of just feeling really good and not so, it's business driven, but it's also like mindset and just, I love that sort of holistic, my company's called Centered by Design. I'm all about sanctuary and centering yourself. And so I liked that there was an approach that didn't just seem straight line business, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. It really does seem, and it's just the way I feel like it kind of encompasses all the aspects of the different types of other businesses that would be powerful to learn from and to associate yourself with. You're saying that even the speaker lineup rounds out all the different aspects of you approaching your business, not just straight up from a numbers standpoint, but from all sides of your life, right?
Totally.
Yeah, I love it. So I'm really excited and looking forward to it. It is going to be in Chicago on February 5th. This is 2020 we're talking about. As I said, the website is phs2.20.com. Listen to me doing 2.0. phs20.com. The full day ticket is $325. You can attend just the cocktail party, although you won't get to see me and Claire speak if you do that. But you can do that if you are working, and it's $110 for that. So I encourage you to look into it, and you can come and hang with me and Claire there. So, but Claire, you were on my podcast back at episode 166, and I invited you on the show then because I had been to the Design Bloggers Conference and you won winner of best blog writing. And that was also the same conference that I met Shay McGee and Amber Lewis and Kelsey Grosso, the Farmer's Daughters Interiors. And you ladies all were, standouts for me in that particular conference. And since then, Claire, you have this blog, and it's a very successful blog. And, of course, you have your design business, too. That goes without saying. You said to me a few moments before we started this that that's still 98%, 95% of your business world. But with the notoriety, like the fame, let's call it the fame, right, of winning this prestigious award, and then from there going out and being invited at the different markets to speak on how you created this successful blog, comes the inevitable avalanche of emails. Claire, how do I do this? Claire, what would you suggest for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think to go back to that conference, which thanks, LuAnn, for even, putting me in the same sentence as some of those heavy hitters. Those are some of my idols as well. But, you know, I just to go back to that moment and that old interview, I really signed up for that conference because I wasn't even sure if I should have a blog. And I kind
Mm.
of did it as a last ditch effort to give myself some motivation to
Oh, interesting.
continue to blog. And so winning that award was really transformational for me and the business because it showed me that people did care what I had to say. And, yes, there are a lot of voices out there, but if you're truly passionate and good at writing and talking about, what you love, then there is an audience. And so that did sort of set me on a course, I guess, to be a little more involved with social media than maybe I ever intended to be. And I did start to grow my Instagram. I don't think I started super early, but just had a knack for it in my past careers. I did do some branding work and worked for my original degree is in journalism, so writing does come naturally to me. And I think all of those things sort of led down a path of just enjoying social media and sharing my business that way. And then, yes, I did get asked to speak multiple times at industry events, small ones and larger ones at the Merchandise Mart and for brands in other parts of the country as well. And that snowballed into a lot of how did you do this, or could you do a workshop for like my small group type of asks. And I decided that I should finally kind of put all this information together in one place so that I could more easily share it.
Yeah, because it gets to the point that it's of course, we give let's just assume that 99.9% of us are happy and willing to share what it is that we've already learned and that we've put to use and that has worked for us, right? That's, I mean, that's who we are, right? That's who this group of people is anyway,
Yes,
connected to this
yes.
podcast. Let's just go there.
For sure.
We won't talk for the whole world, okay? But the truth is, though, that there does come a moment where you're thinking to yourself, okay, 50 people have this same question, and I am so happy to share it with all 50 of you, but it gets to be like, well, if 50 people have this question, probably 500 have this question, and maybe I should give some careful thought to putting this down in such a way that I can share it with 500 people at a time as opposed to one and one and one and one, right? Because it still serves your individual desire to say, yes, I will help you, right? It just becomes more like, how can I help more people at the same time and more effectively help them, right?
Yes, and I think also, to be truthful, like I would be getting requests from other brands who like maybe wanted to host a workshop at their space with designers, and it was kind of at that point, it wasn't so much like one-on-one with designers, that's more something I'm always willing to do, but you just don't necessarily have the time.
Right.
But when brands are like start requesting, but then they're not going to pay you, and you're always just sort of doing something for the quote unquote marketing,
Right.
That's when it became like, I feel like I don't have the time, energy, or money to be always sort of just spending the time talking about this, but it's something I love. It's a resource that I think could help people. So I would love to create something that I could sell so that there is a way to share that and still potentially see some monetary profit.
Well, right, because by the way, it's not a hobby, right? If you
Right.
wanted a hobby, you would sit with your daughter all day and take yoga at the end of the day, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So, and I love that. You do have to consistently think to yourself, if I do this, why? Right? And sometimes the why is, this is my community. This is 2 miles from my home. I, want to give back. Great. Sometimes the why is, lose a day of work, travel, this, that, and the other thing. And, yeah. And this is marketing for you, right? You brand expect to make money off of this in some way, but I'm just, traveling along here, right? So it is true. You do have to always start with, why are you enticed to do something? Why are you tempted to do something? And figure out if strategically it serves all the needs, and yours are very much, part of that need. So, but I want to go back a second, Claire, to the statement where you came to that conference in 2017 with the question for yourself, should I continue with my blog? I think that's interesting. And I want to just pick it apart for a second, because if you hadn't said that, I certainly wouldn't have expected that. I could expect that any one person or several could come to a conference like that with that question. But it surprises me to know that the person who won the Best Writing Blog Award came with that question. And what it says is, and the reason why I want to bring it up is because what it just says is, you just never know about another person and what's going on with them, right?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think, to be totally honest, I think when I signed up for the conference, they don't do those awards anymore. And I don't quite know why, but it was a really great thing for my business. And I don't quite even know that. I think when I signed up, I didn't even know that there were awards. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I nominated myself. So the whole thing was just sort of this really wonderful kind of experience for me that I'll never forget, where I think that for whatever reason, that was sort of just felt meant to be for me. And it was a turning point for me. That was really when I started my business. I had just gone out on my own, and it gave me so much confidence, and it was such a boost to meet so many other people and designers. And then to even have that kind of recognition was quite something.
That's awesome. I love to hear that story. And the truth is that I just said it on a recent episode. I don't know which one it was, but in one of my, outro little conversations where I'm like, let's have a chit chat. I was talking about how you really do have to look at the different ways that you can get yourself out of your own box in your business, because whether you have a staff of 3 or 4 or you're a solo, it is still a somewhat small world. Unless you're a designer that has a staff of 8, 10, 15, 20, and you really are running a larger firm. And even then, you can really get in your own silo. But particularly for the tens of thousands of interior designers that are running a firm of, say, 3 or 4 or under, you really can get in your own box. And you just don't know what happens when you go to a conference. You have no idea. So for you, I'm surprised to know, I also didn't know that you weren't even aware that you were nominated. Right? That's amazing. What an amazing thrill. It's a thrill to win, but to even not even have it on your radar must have been like, what?
You know what? Funny too, LuAnn, is I know you recently had Bria Hamill on the podcast, and Bria's a friend of mine who I actually met in person for the first time at that conference, and Bria was in the same category as I was, and Bria didn't win, but she's winning in so many other ways, and I honestly look up to her as well. And so, I think the biggest takeaway for me from that experience, and I think that I want to impart to other people, is we hear it over and over, but invest in yourself. Yes. Like that was a trip out to LA. I'd never been. I was a little nervous about going by myself, all of those things that sort of keep us back from getting out of our box. And I'm thrilled. I'm already signed up for the conference again in San Francisco. I love an excuse to go to California, period.
Out of Chicago, sure.
I did have a baby in the past 2 years, so I wasn't able to get to the conference since 2017. So I'm looking forward to being back and hopefully seeing lots of podcast fans there.
Yeah, no, it's the truth. I mean, I really do, because the gift of going to something, anything, any conference like that, sometimes in your case comes with some sort of recognition, but so often it comes with a conversation that you have with somebody that you never would have met, or a speaker says something that just unlocks something for you, and you're just like, whoa. I know for us, we went to a conference in Philadelphia a year ago, September, with window treatment professionals, and that was when I first went to an exciting Windows conference. And we went to it and we didn't know what to expect. And this is a small conference. This is 60 people, under 60 people. And we didn't know what to expect, and we went. And I'm at this point in the window treatment business, 37 years at that point. And you're thinking, for me, I am always thinking, I just need one new thing, one new idea, and I'll be happy. Whatever it is, that'd be great. And I never have been disappointed. But for us, it came again. And the most significant thing of that was that we sat there and we spent time over a day and a half with 3 or 4 firms that, as a window treatment firm, were doing 10 million plus a year in business. And my husband and I at that point kept trying to push from 2 to 3, 2 to 3, 2 to 3. And we sat there and we were like, 2 to 3, how about 2 to 5? Like, what are we doing? Like, you know what I mean? And boom, it's just like a whole different thing. So I'm so thrilled to know that, my goodness, what a different path you would have been on if you hadn't gone, and if you possibly hadn't won. Like, how amazing.
Yeah.
So here we are. So now you are taking all of this goodness and this knowledge that you have created, that you have learned in your life from your journalism career, from your interior design career, from this successful blog, and you're quantifying it and putting it down into a workbook called Authentically You. And this is for interior designers and creatives who want to create content for social media and for their website, I guess. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now, Claire.
Yeah, the workbook is so I think we talked a little bit about this off air, and I'll just repeat because I think it's important. So many of us go to industry events, and social media is always a hot topic, and the little sessions are always full to the max, and there's people sitting up there and they're telling you that social media is important and that they get leads from it, and that they post their family or they don't, or this is what they do, but there's never any like specific takeaways that you can go and implement for your business or to train your staff. Because I think most of us who are smaller businesses, so I have, one full-time employee and one part-time employee, you can't do it all. And I had so many people who also didn't want to off-source their social media presence to a third-party company because of that loss of voice and how it becomes hard to manage, and then you're paying this money out of pocket and it's maybe not getting you a return, and you want to kind of keep it in-house, but you don't have the tools to really train your staff per se on how to do it, and it ends up sort of this looming goal that never gets accomplished. And I'm in that same boat with so many other people. And I think just because I have the branding and journalism background, I sort of had a leg up, and then I just love social in general. And so it always just came easily and naturally to me. And so I wanted to create this workbook to really give people something to fill out, something to work with their staff on, to actually start to take some steps to make changes. And so the workbook PDF is sort of part 1, and then there's a part 2 where there's a video of me walking you through the workbook, and then also an additional Excel file that sort of tries to help you set goals and then plan weekly and monthly for content.
Okay. And so talk to me about some of those specific things. So now obviously I'm not saying go through your entire workbook, right?
Yeah,
but I mean,
sure.
just like I hear you with that. I am the same way when I listen to conversations at panel discussions or whatever. And when it stays top surface, it makes me crazy. Like I'm like in the audience going, come on, ask this question. You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
what
right.
about that? You know what I'm saying? So give me some of the things that are you have a social media following of 18,000 people. So we're not talking about somebody who hasn't talked the talk and walked the walk. Like, you know how to build a social media following. And I'm 100% sure that it comes and it stems from first putting out quality content. But then it also comes with the strategies that are mixed in with the content. So are there some things that you can share with us today, Claire, that will help some of the designers listening to maybe, make one or two changes in their content or their strategy that would help them, this week, right?
Yeah, totally. I'm happy to give lots of advice. So, to just talk a little bit about the PDF, there's sort of 6 steps, and step 1 is find your niche. And so, I also want to say, and this is something else we kind of talked about, none of this information is information you can't find out there on the internet. But this is, after 4 years of sort of doing this and speaking on it, these are the tips that I've found the most helpful. These are the practices that I think you can actually easily do. I've done this all on my own as a small business, and yes, I have 18,000 followers and over, 1 million views a month on Pinterest, but I'm not the top of the top out there. There's so many people with bigger followings who probably have more content, bigger businesses. I really want this to be something that anyone feels like they can do. I'm not out there trying to get to 50 or 100,000 followers every day. I'm really focused on how do I just build a successful business that supports me and my family and my life and my goals. This is not about like becoming the biggest influencer in the industry. This is just that this is a good business practice, and social media is more important than ever. And all my clients are going to go to my Instagram page number 1, potentially before my website. So we want to look good and we want to put our best foot forward.
Okay, so let me just say something to all of that. I hear you.
Thank you.
I do. And the thing about that is what that whole goal of yours supports is the goal of creating content that creates clients, not creating content that creates eyeballs. It's 2 different things. It's a very worthy goal to create content that creates eyeballs, that creates influencer status, that creates 500,000 followers on a platform, right? That's a goal. But what you're describing is that your personal goal is to create quality content, implement proven strategies that result in real life clients coming to your website and converting into real life clients.
Yes, and I will also say, LuAnn, that doesn't go without. Yes, like the quote unquote influencer status is nice, and I have had the opportunity to work with many wonderful brands, and I do think, the bigger your following in a way, right, the more opportunities you get. But we hear this time and time again, you can have a small, very wonderful following and still get amazing opportunities. With the number of followers that I have, I was recently a brand ambassador for a really large British textile company, Style Library. They do gorgeous wall coverings and fabrics, and I was able to partner with that company, speak at New York Design Week. I got to go to London with them and see their factories and tour William Morris homes and all these things. So like, yes, there's there are different goals, and that's sort of the thing, and that's a little bit why I did the Excel file as well. Like, what are your goals for social media? It's not, you have to have more of a plan than I just want more followers. Like, what's the point, right? You want to grow your brand, you want to turn customers into advocates. So grow your brand is awareness. Turning customers into advocates, that's engagement. driving leads into sales, that's conversions. Improving customer retention, that's creating, more consumers. So that's like the first page of the Excel file. It just sort of gives you those definitions.
Nice.
And I want to encourage people to decide what their goals are, and then you try to, curate your content to help with that.
I love it. I mean, that's what it is. You always have to start with why are you doing something? And to your point, your number one why could be to create and convert lookers to clients, right? But you could have a secondary goal of, and by the way, if I get a certain amount of engagement and create some level of quality and so forth on this platform, if there's some opportunities out there for brand ambassadorship or whatever they might be, then yes, we'll take that too. If that's, if that's your secondary goal, okay? But the truth is that it does start with what you're talking about, the actual content creation and the strategies for getting that content out in front of the world in the eyeballs. So, and I have to tell you, you never need to worry about sharing your content and your 6 steps, because there's always people like me who would just as soon pay for you to have given it to me than to sit here and take every note on the podcast. Promise.
Sure. Of course. And I did just want to note, LuAnn, that, with something like the brand ambassadorship, this is sort of just a side note, but people also always wonder, like, well, how do you get that opportunity? What I would say is, as you start to create content and hopefully, you do build some influence, whenever a brand contacts you about an opportunity, if it's a good fit for you, the more enthusiastic you are, the more opportunity is going to come from that. So just to do a really quick aside, this company was launching, so this company, Style Library, they curate and they own all the archives to all of William Morris's artwork, who's a very famous British poet, artist. People mostly know his name in the art world.
Right.
And so they launched a collection where they put a collection of his prints on H&M dresses. And the company PR company reached out to me and said, would you want to wear one of these dresses and post it? And I was like, I love William Morris patterns. I love this dress. Yes. And then I took it a step farther. And because Style Library actually has a showroom in the Chicago Merchandise Mart, and because I'm a content creator who always needs content, I said, let's go take some pictures of me in this dress near the Merchandise Mart and in the Style Library showroom. And they were so wowed by that eventually led to me getting the brand ambassadorship, or that's what put me on their radar in the first place.
I love it. So what you're saying is that, first of all, it really truly aligned with something that you already were passionate about. So that was nice. And it's funny because Barclay Butera is recently on the podcast, and he said that when he decides, because he has a licensing empire, right? So one step further from ambassadorship, right? And he said that first and foremost, he thinks about and considers the relationship to that brand, not only to the presidents and the CEO and the executives of that brand, but does it align, right? Does it feel right? And so that's what you're saying too. But what's so cool is your other point, if I'm hearing it correctly, is yes, accept the opportunity. Yes, say, yes, I would love to do this, but then to creatively think and say, and how about this? I'm so excited about this opportunity. I'm so excited about your brand that I also think this is a great way to continue that exposure, right? So you're saying run with it. Show your enthusiasm and your ideas for it. Don't be shy and don't be reticent, and don't say, well, they probably don't want to know what I think, right? If you're genuinely happy and excited and would love to share it and have an idea, say it, right?
Of course. And then, and obviously don't overstep your bounds, but I even went one step further and said, I have a client with a dining room that's perfect for this wallpaper. I think I can convince her to install it, if you will supply the wallpaper.
Nice.
And then now we have a gorgeous project that's going to be in Luxe magazine. So it's just this is about being an opportunist. I think that's what's so cool about social media and sort of the way that you can get so much closer to working with a brand in a way that you could only in the past, probably through a PR company, or if you really had the right contact. It's like if you have a great idea, if you're passionate about something, you can probably make it happen by reaching out on social media.
Right. I love it. And I love that you didn't hesitate to say if you would supply the wallpaper, right? Why not?
Yeah.
Come on.
That's how you convince clients. You give them free product.
Exactly, right? And you know, for the brand, I mean, what are we talking about? At their net wholesale cost, a few $100s to be connected with, you know, somebody like yourself and have the photographs and be in a live project as opposed to a swatch in a book, right?
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it. So great little side tangent there, Claire.
Okay, good. So to get back to the PDF, I think so, yes, that this is all about finding your niche. And so that's why that William Morris example is perfect for me. Like gorgeous floral wallpapers is my niche. You know what I mean? And so you have to know what your niche is. And so the first part of the workbook is narrowing down your top 5. And people have probably heard this, but I'll repeat it just in case somebody's, you know, newer, that when you look at Instagram and you see somebody's 9 or 12 squares, you know, within those first 9 or 12, you need to know what their brand stands for. And I think that makes sense to a lot of people, but they aren't actually really actively sharing their content in that way. And so the first step is narrowing down your top 5 and what are those, I like to call them content buckets that you are going to repeat over and over, because that also makes it easier for you. Instead of just having this wide open field of, oh my God, I don't know what to post today, I have 365 days to post. It's like we post about these 5 content areas, and we're just going to kind of do that over and over again in different ways, but then you know what your areas are and you can focus on them, and then that helps, and that all comes into what is your niche, you know. So for instance, mine, if I can find them on the PDF, I post personal, I post fashion, I post color pattern, I post vintage and details, and then inspiring interiors. Like those are sort of, and obviously, you know, it ebbs and flows, but I really focus on creating content in those areas.
I love it. I love it. And the thing is, it's just a roadmap, and it's to your point. You know, you don't wake up, you know, instead of waking up on Tuesday morning going, oh my goodness, I have 40 pictures here. Which one should I post? What should I say? It's like, it's Tuesday, I do fashion. It's Wednesday, I do color and pattern, right?
Exactly.
It just eliminates. What is it? It's creating a process. Hello. It's creating a system, right?
Yes, system. And so that's the other big part of the PDF. I recommend like my top 10 apps that I use. I give you like the name of them and a little definition, and you know, lots of people know Planoly or Mosaico is the app that I use to organize my Instagram, but I also use so many other apps. Like, you know, there's a lot of steps that often you can go through to edit a photo, to get it from your Dropbox to your photo editor. Sometimes it might go through 2 photo editors, you know. There's all these new apps where you can create a short video. So it's just about having those all downloaded on your phone in a folder so that you can be as efficient as possible.
I love it. What's this Mosaico? That's a new one. I haven't heard of that one before.
So I think it's similar to a Planoly. For whatever reason, I started using Mosaico and just found it a little more appealing for me. Really, I use it mostly to organize my feed ahead of time so that I know what photo that I'm posting and I know how all the photos flow in my feed. I honestly don't pre-schedule my posts, but I do pre-plan all my photos, and occasionally I will pre-write captions, I find for myself, I'm just better on the fly and it feels more authentic, like with my comments, with what's ever going on in my life that day or week. But I know plenty of bigger businesses who, they may be handing this off to someone else and they just need the content every day to already be pre-planned. So a lot of these apps all do similar things where you can pull your photos in, you can pre-write comments. Some of them push directly to Instagram to post, some of them don't, but it's essentially a pre-planning tool.
Okay. And with that app Mosaico, you can see that grid of 9 or 12. That's interesting. You don't have to go in and out of Instagram to see that.
Oh yeah, no,
that's interesting.
So key. So it pulls in all of the current photos on your feed and you can't move them. Like if you touch it, it won't let you move it. But all of your photos that haven't been posted yet, you can drag and drop those around. And I mean, for me, that's the biggest thing. I need to see what the feed is going to look like. Because that's part of creating content as well, especially as a designer, right? It has to be super visually appealing and beautiful. And so to be able to drag and drop and pre-plan is everything.
That's nice. I love it. Okay. So you are going through the process of giving a head of thought to the 9 grid or the 12 grid, but then your personal process is that you do the caption on the day, and that caption varies based on what your actual life is doing that day and how you're feeling and what project you might be involved in or what activity you might be involved in.
Yes, I think there are times where, for instance, I'll have a photo and I'll know sort of, maybe it coordinates with a blog post and it's about window treatments. So like I may make notes in Mosaico to like kind of remind myself, because like let's say I'm pulling something and it's like for 2 weeks from now. Also things change, so that's what's nice about being able to move stuff around, right? Something might come up that you need to drop in and then you've got to reorganize things. But personally, yeah, I don't pre-plan a lot of the post captions because I am still executing those myself.
Right. Okay, good. All right. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to think your workbook is going to lead us through finding our niche and understanding the different steps of the journey that a client will take. It sounds like, your awareness and your engagement and conversion and so forth. And then you have a list what's recommending different apps that you use. What are some of the other goodies that we're going to find in here?
So, I mean, this probably goes without saying, but if somebody hasn't switched over to a business account, there's the steps on how to switch from a regular Instagram account to a business account. Okay. That's really important because it gives you a lot of data that you can look at, and that really helps. You can see how many followers you're losing and gaining every day. You can see the demographics. If you post a story, you could see how many people have seen it. There's all these different things. So you have to be a business account to see those things. And you also, because Instagram and Facebook, are so intertwined and Instagram's owned by Facebook, you have to have a Facebook business page to even have a Instagram business account. Okay. So if you don't have a Facebook business account, then you have to open one of those as well.
Now, give me some information about that data and those stats that you can see. So, for instance, I was listening to Darla's podcast recently, The Wingnut Social, and she was talking about how if you look at your analytics on Instagram and you are finding that 1%, 2%, 3% of the people who saw your post are outside of your regular followers, you're not doing such a great job. She said with your hashtags. And then she said, but if you're getting, a much higher percentage, then that means your hashtags are working. And I, of course, have not reached out to her yet to say, what do you mean by that, Darla? So tell me a little bit about that. Can you speak to that a little bit about that hashtags? Yeah. Go ahead, tell us.
So, okay, the recommended, I believe, Instagram does not let you post more than 30 hashtags per post. And it is recommended that you post those 30 within the first comment. So people often, they don't post them in their actual post. As soon as you post, you go in and you comment on your own post with those 30 hashtags. Now, I think what Darla is saying is the way that you're discovered by people outside of your following on Instagram is through hashtags, because there's really not a lot of great other ways that someone would randomly come to your account. It's like they're going to see you through a hashtag. And so she is saying if your hashtags are good, accurate, then more people who aren't in your following already will see your content. And that's really going to help your potential to grow. And so I do have a section on here that we talk a little bit about hashtags. I list a bunch of my favorites and ones that I use, and I do always recommend that you use hashtags in every post.
Okay. So what is there a good and a bad hashtag, or is it just testing to see what works for you? Because say, light airy kitchens or white kitchens, maybe is that just like, let's just assume that's a good hashtag. I have no idea if it is or it isn't. But
Sure.
Is a good hashtag for everybody? Or it's like, well, LuAnn, that one might work for me, but it might not work for, my friend, Sally Smith, interior designer. Or is it,
right? It's a little bit of a science that I will say I'm by no means an expert, but what I understand is that there's a couple ways to think about it, in my opinion. So you want to think of it a bit like a search term. So people are on Instagram looking for inspiration, and they may want to just search hashtag white kitchen, and that might be a good way for them to find you and your picture of a white kitchen. So I think it's always good to put in some pretty basic kind of search terms of what the photo actually is, like white kitchen, white cabinets, vintage runner, things that people would be searching for. And then it's important to also know what are the popular industry tags that brands or other influencers might be following to see your work so that it could be reposted, because being reposted is another great way to get more followers. Does that make sense?
It does. I hear what you're saying. So don't ignore white kitchen, hashtag white kitchen, if that's what it is. And don't worry about it being not a glamorous term, because there is somebody out there who is just saying, okay, I need to find pictures of white kitchens today. Right?
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. And then some of the other terms, and now I'm recalling some of the information from Mark McDonough in the first year of the podcast, with him saying, let's just say it's modern farmhouse kitchens. Let's just pick that one.
Right.
I remember him saying, like, if you're an account with, say, 1,000 followers, and that hashtag results in, 150,000, searches or something, then you're not going to come up anywhere near the top of the search results for that. So it's like there's this dance between finding the popular ones, but that it's sort of like popular at like a little bit to your level and above, right? Because, right? Okay, makes sense.
But I also think, shoot for the moon too. Like if you have a great photo, I mean, everybody uses Shay McGee's hashtag, and they used to repost, I feel like, other people's work maybe more than they do now. But, if you want to have your work seen or reposted, like I wouldn't say don't completely shy away from popular hashtags, but yes, if you're only using those and you only have like 500 followers, it's probably not going to help you as much as being strategic with doing some research, like just on Instagram, typing in different hashtags and seeing sort of what is going on there. Did these photos look pretty quality, like you would want to be associated with them, and start using those tags, because people that are using them like are going to see them or follow you back or those kind of things.
Interesting. Okay, good. I love it. There's all these nuances, right?
Yes, it's a lot. I mean, I try not to get too consumed by it, and just do the best you can, get some in there every day. I mean, I will say, before I knew how important they were, there would be plenty of posts where I just do a couple, because I'd be like, whatever, I don't know if these are working or not. And then once I really learned what a difference hashtags make to your searchability, I always do my full 30.
Okay. Good point. Now, Claire, we've talking about Instagram specifically. Is the PDF, is it specifically related to Instagram, or is some of the content and the marketing in there, just related to writing a successful blog? Like, what is the focus of the Authentically You PDF workbook?
So I would say that the focus of the workbook is pretty specific to Instagram. It really doesn't cover blogging at all.
Okay.
But I think the Excel file, so we have a couple of different pages, within the Excel file, and one of those pages is a weekly planner. So the reason it's an Excel file is I'm hoping for people that, I've already made the template for you. So especially if you have an employee that you're trying to sort of offload some of this responsibility to, I think this is a great way to start that process, because learning how to be a boss myself, I've really, started to understand just to have clarity, systems, spreadsheets, all of those things can really help the process, instead of just saying like, hey, I want you to post to Instagram once a day. And so this has a weekly like Instagram planner where there's like days of the week, there's space for a prompt, a caption, a photo idea, where you could start filling and recording hashtags. And so we sort of give you an example of 4 weeks of content, and then somebody can just take this and copy and paste it and start their weeks of content. And then from the monthly, then the next page is monthly content ideas. So this is where it gets a little, like, it could help you if you're trying to blog. This gives sort of seasonal and evergreen types of topics that might just help get you inspired or get your staff members inspired, that you could write a blog post on every single one of these if you wanted to. You could do an Instagram post on them, or it could just give you some sort of ideas of how to make this specific to your top 5.
Okay. I love it. That's awesome. I mean, and the thing about it is at the end of the day, it requires a decision on our part to institute a thoughtful, planned strategy for this, as opposed to, I'm at a traffic light, maybe I'll post that picture I took this morning, right? I mean, not that doesn't happen, you know what I mean? But the point is that to really have it fulfill the goal of converting potential eyeballs into clients and the potential to develop relationship with brands, it does need to be as planned as planning a room in an interior design project. You wouldn't just take on a project and then just willy-nilly start ordering furniture. No, you'd sit back first, you'd measure the room, you'd take a floor plan, you'd decide, how many people do I want to sit in this room? How do I want to use the room, right? Like, there's a lot that goes into a room before you go out and source even the very first fabric or piece of furniture. And it's the same with social media, right, Claire?
It is. And I will say, I mean, there are, there's like everything, right? There's a variety of ways to do things. So I'm not saying like your content has to be perfect and beautiful all times. There's like a kind of a backlash of like, when I say authentically you, I mean, trust me, I know authentically is a buzzword and some people might think it's cheesy, but I think, you know what, that's the truth. Like, everybody loves people being themselves. And a good example is, I love Lauren Lease. She's got a great Instagram following. She's got 2 books. She started doing this thing on Instagram called like homework. Have you seen this, LuAnn?
No, I know who she is, but I haven't seen this feature.
Okay, so I love her, and she gives a weekly homework assignment, and she has her husband filming her on her iPhone. It's like super low quality. It is not it is not fancy. It is not like a curated video. It's just her, like her kid might be in the background. They're hanging some garland. But you know what? I love her style. She's giving great tips, and it's authentic. This is life as a mom, a parent, a person who has a business and a family. and yes, she's still posting pretty pictures on her feed, but then there's these videos and it's not really a pretty picture. So it's more about, I think today it's less about, oh, I'm curating this perfect look, and it's more about how do I make this authentic to what my goals are for the business, and like come up with some creative ideas. And I don't worry about being too perfect, which is honestly something that I struggle with a lot. And it's something I'm trying to get over.
Yeah, no, I mean, there is always that voice that's saying, is that funny, or is that just dumb? Right? Or
Yeah.
is that authentic, or is that TMI? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a fine line. And I think
Right.
the reality is, I mean, you tell me what you think is, at the end of the day, if it feels like you, guess what, sweetie? It's you. Right?
Yep.
And you know what? Not everybody's going to like it. It's just a simple fact. We are not going to be liked by everybody. And I don't even think it's a worthy goal. Like,
No.
it's what's the point? Like, that means that everything about you is, I'll just say the word, vanilla or average. Like, if you are really mildly attracting to whatever level everybody, then you're not really passionately attracting anybody and passionately putting off anybody, right? Like, whatever.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
but it's tough. But to your point, it's you do, second guess and say this and that and the other. But you just gotta, like your book is called, your workbook is called, Authentically You. You gotta own it, right?
Yeah, and I think just to also know that as you're starting out, or if you're really trying to grow, like, I think it's more important to be consistent, to have things look beautiful. It's sort of like, as you continue to develop these relationships with people, it's almost like, I feel like in a way you can think about it as having a relationship. In the beginning, like, you're dating someone, you're always putting your best foot forward, like that sort of idea. And then as they get to know you better, they trust you, they trust your content. You can be a little more crazy, you can be a little more silly, you can be a little more yourself. Because it is sort of a process, and it's sort of like you start to trust people and know who they are. And that's why I think social media is so valuable. I've literally had multiple clients, but one in particular that stands out to me. Never met her, called me and said, I feel like I know you. Will you please come see this house with us? Because if you think that we can make it what we want, like, then we'll buy it. But
Wow.
otherwise, like, I don't think we're going to do this house. I mean, people feel like they know you, and they do, because you're really being yourself.
So wait, this is the first call that this person makes to you is, hi, you don't know me. I feel like I know you, and I want your advice on buying a house.
Yeah, I mean, this was a potential client who they were, I mean, this was crazy. I absolutely love these clients, and they hired me the day before I gave birth to my baby. They hired a 9-month pregnant lady standing in their house. I was like, are you crazy? Are you sure you want to do this? But yeah, that was
right.
that
Like,
was
you better go
big-
back to work. I guess they were like counting on it.
Yeah, well, I think they totally got it. And that's the thing. You also attract the kind of clients that you want when
Right.
you're yourself, and that's the biggest thing. This guy was a pediatrician. Like, he wasn't worried about a lady having a baby. He knows, like, people do it every day. So
Well, and also too, because for you, like you said in the very beginning of the episode, is, centered by design. Your whole design approach, I remember that from our first interview, is the holistic approach to interior design and everything that you create for the families that you work with. So for you probably are, I know, I say probably, I know you're leading that in a lot of the different ways that you're putting yourself out there through your blog, through Pinterest, through social media. And so therefore you are always getting people who are just like you, that get it, that want those same values. And so these people probably thought, you're our person, and we'll wait 3 or 4 months for you to come back to work, right?
Or you'll email the day after you give birth, which was more like it, but it's fine. That's why I like having my own business. can work from anywhere.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Did you really go back and start working on that project at some level right after the baby was born?
Oh yeah, I think I remember emailing from the hospital, like, had the baby, like, when's the next site visit?
I might just call you out. That's a little contrary to your.
Yeah, I mean, LuAnn, we've all got our issues.
But on the other hand, if they were, great new clients and you were excited, that was a moment of excitement and pleasure for you as an individual business person. Then you just took your mommy hat off for a minute, long enough to write an email. No, your brand new mommy hat, by the way.
I did, and I did reduce my client load drastically, and that was one of the clients that I really wanted to have, be with them in their project. Yes. So it was a great thing for me during my sort of maternity leave.
Tell me your baby's name again. She's so pretty.
Oh, thank you. Her name is Willa Valentine.
That's it. I remember it being this very just flowy, soft, pretty name. And I couldn't think of what it was. Willa Valentine. So pretty, Claire.
Thanks.
She's a cutie.
Awesome.
She really is a cutie. I mean, oh my goodness, her eyes just pop.
Aw, thanks. Yeah, well, I try not, I like to share some family stuff. I try not to put it, all over, but we are definitely in toddler phase. So anybody who's got little kids, it's a whole lot. It's an exhausting time.
It sure is. It sure is. Well, Claire, I have to say, I just appreciate so much that you came back on the show, and I really appreciate that. You are a busy interior designer, and with the speaking and with Willa and your husband and everything else, that you really did just this type of endeavor that you've just put together authentically. This PDF workbook, which is one product, and then you can do the bundle where it comes with the video and the Excel spreadsheets and the 12-month calendar and so forth. That requires putting the brakes on a lot of things. I know what that requires. That's like, okay, I'm going to work on this today, whether you put aside an hour every day or an hour once a week, or you blocked out 3 days a week for 6 weeks, whatever it is not the type of thing that you do randomly. It really is its whole other thing. And it's really nice for all of us when people like yourself that have this experience and this knowledge, and you've said it a couple of times, look, you're not saying you're the world's expert on it. You're saying this is what I've done and it's worked for me. You want some of it? Have some of it, right? You're just speaking from your actual experience of the things that work for you. And it takes a lot to actually stop and quantify that so that the rest of us can benefit from it. So I love it. And you have a little bit of a freebie that people can get a taste of the type of thing that you're creating for them, right?
Yes. So we shared the first 6 months of our content ideas with you, LuAnn. So there is a PDF, and I believe people can go to your site and download that. And that just gives people some of the idea of sort of what monthly content ideas are like. Like, here's some great ideas for January, so that if you were working, with your staff or with yourself, you can start to really fill out what's known in, the industry as more of an editorial calendar.
I love it. It's awesome. It's that little system that we talked about a while ago. Like, it's Tuesday, I do this. It's January, I do this. So that you have that first hurdle off the plate where you are prompting us with some topics and ideas that are proven interesting to consumers during these time frames of our calendar. And here I am in the real moment. I'm going to tell you that you're going to find that at LuAnnNigara.com/goodies, but maybe you won't. I don't know. So try LuAnnNigara.com/goodies. And if not, it's always in the show notes too. You can find it there. So Claire, thanks so much for coming on the show again. And I cannot wait to see you in February.
Thank you so much, LuAnn. I really look forward to seeing you too. And thanks everybody for listening.
Before I share my thoughts with you, I want to remind you there is still time to sign up for the new classes we have going on here in Podcast Land. We have Sarah Brennan teaching Process Leads to Profits, where you are going to, over 8 weeks, starting January 8th, 2020, which is tomorrow, learn how to quantify your design services so you can sell them. And the point is so that you can sell them easily, because with Sarah's help, you are going to eliminate the fuzziness that leads to client hesitancy in buying, and when they do sign with you, leads to scope creep. Okay, so these are the two primary things that are eliminated when you really get finite on your process. And when you eliminate those two things, you get to make profits. Okay. So at the time I'm recording this, do I have any idea if we have any seats left in class? No, I do not. However, if you want to get in, you may as well find out if there's seats left, okay? Go to processleadstoprofits.com. All right. And then we have Profit with Window Treatments, which will be led by Vita Vykovsky, my co-host on the WTF series, all about window treatments. This class is specifically for designers who want more product knowledge, for confidence to specify and sell window treatments so you can make more money in 2020. You know that I know how profitable window treatments are. All you need is some product knowledge geared specifically to you, the interior designer. This is not a high-level class designed for window treatment pros, so don't worry. You are not going to feel funny or lost. This is just for you so that you can add a highly profitable, hardly shoppable, did I mention hardly shoppable product to your projects this year. Okay, this class starts next week, January 15th, 2020. Go to profitwithwindowtreatments.com to sign up. Did I say hardly shoppable? All right, Claire, I told you what a terrific lady she is, didn't I? And this workbook that she has created just for you, the interiors professional, whether you are a designer, a window treatment pro, a photographer, an architect, or even a landscape architect. Claire has built a wildly successful blog, Instagram, and Pinterest account. And now she is sharing the 6 steps that she took to create content that attracts eyeballs. Like she said, this workbook, the video with it, and the spreadsheets are geared to Instagram strategies, but I'm sure that the lessons and the creative processes are somewhat transferable. Okay. Now, you know that you do always need to start with what your why is. Claire said it in the show as well. Is your reason for wanting to create content to grow your following so you can attract potential clients, to attract potential relationship with vendors, to drive traffic to your website where you might have an e-commerce page, right? You have to start there because the strategies that you employ are likely different based on your goal. Now, if you've been in business for several years and you have a strong team and a full pipeline, maybe you do want to pursue ambassadorships the way Claire has. And why do I ask you if you have these things in place first? Well, because depending on what that relationship entails with that brand, you may be spending time away from your firm. And if you don't have strong systems in place so things can run smoothly in your absences and clients lined up so that when you're back from hobnobbing with the brand that you've got cash flow coming in, you see, these relationships with the ambassadorships are not so much about making money. These are prestige builders, credibility builders, right? You know, that both of those things, prestige and credibility, translates to money, but it translates in the form of attracting new clients to you. Right? Remember about a month ago, we had Brittany Simon on the show, and she's done a lot of TV work. And she said, you don't even make money doing the TV work, but by doing the TV work, it does attract eyeballs to your firm, and it does, as I said, give you prestige and credibility. So you have to think about that because, be careful what you chase. Make sure the ducks are in a row at home first, because once you ultimately really start to move up the ladder with these brand ambassadorships that might lead to licensing and next become the next Barclay Butera or the next Alexa Hampton, right? You're going to kind of want that design firm like back there running so that you can capitalize on everything that you've created by turning them into lucrative design projects. I mean, you get it, it's like a cat chasing its tail, right? So start with Claire's free giveaway for sure. At the very minimum, social media props for seasonal and evergreen content. Go to LuAnnNigara.com/goodies, all right? And see how Claire created quality content that ultimately attracted both new clients and brands, all right? LuAnnNigara.com/goodies. Thanks so much for joining me. Thank you, too, to My Doma Studio for sponsoring the show. If you haven't tried it yet, you might give it a try because My Doma Studio, this is the place to organize all of your projects so your firm is locked down and you're ready when you are called for those brand ambassadorships, right? Go to mydomastudio.com/a well-designed business. All right. Thank you for joining me today. Do something today to make your business better, to help you be a better business owner. Decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.